Welcome to Tin Pod Radio.
Now is the time, there's no more waiting. Who will you be when the light dawns? Sweat on your palms and your pulse is racing. Who will you be when the moment comes? Will you rise? Will you rise?
Welcome to this episode of Brain Leakage, episode number 15. Actually, it's been a while though. The Daleks, part 5. And before it starts, I wanted to say something. This is the week of New Who on Friday the 10th. I'm going to try to do these more frequently, but as always, if anybody wants to do an episode of Brain Leakage, just let me know. We're going to try to cover all Doctor Who. Get as many voices on it as we can. So just let me know. Quick recording on your phone and stuff, or your computer, and just send it to me and I'll edit it up and stuff. So if you want to talk about Doctor Who, have a favorite episode, a favorite thing, just let me know. So back to the Daleks part 5. Also known as the Mutants and the Dead Planet. I know there's a lot of about that, of whether it was officially called some of these other names. I know the consensus, I think, is that it was changed to not conflict with the Third Doctor story to Mutants in all, media and stuff. It's the second serial in Doctor Who history, and it was written by creator, of course, Terry Nation, and part 5 is directed by Christopher Barry, with the script edits by David Whittaker, and produced by Verity Lambert. Also the name of a very good podcast about Doctor Who, Verity, if you want. And I know I don't say it right, sorry, but hillbilly English, that's how you get. Okay, like I said, it was the second serial Doctor Who, and it was always planned to be futuristic due to the historic nature of the first serial, An Earthly Child, which I guess some people can't watch right now because of issues, but I don't like the caveman stuff anyways, but that first episode is still my very favorite first episode of Doctor Who. It's the very first An Earthly Child episode. Anyways, in July 1963, the serial was titled Doctor Who and the Robots, to be rewritten by, and it was initially to be written by Anthony Coburn and directed by Rex Tucker. Delay was also set to direct the fourth serial, Doctor Who and the Mutants, for which script editor David Whittaker commissioned comedy writer Terry Nation on the 31st of July. I didn't know Terry Nation was actually originally a comedy writer. I think years ago I had run across a movie he wrote, if I ain't mistaken, and was like, oh, the same Terry Nation? Okay. And they were impressed by his work in the science fiction series Out of This World. Nation had written a 26-page 26-page outline for a story entitled The Survivors at His Home, influenced by the threat of racial extermination by the Nazis and the concerns of advanced warfare, as well as taking influence from H.G. Wells' novel The Time Machine. Impressed by the outline, producer Verity Lambert extended the serial from 6 to 7 episodes on 8th of August to better express Nation's story. And we kind of wish he didn't do it, because it's a lot of early Who's hurt by too many episodes. Showrunner, creator Sidney Newman, and head of serials Donald Wilson. Where are my reading glasses? What I'm going to do is I need my reading glasses for stuff. I'm old. I got like 4 pairs of glasses I switch in and out on. Well, that didn't go right. I went to grab my reading glasses and actually stop the recording. So, where were we? Oh, yeah. Show creator Sidney Newman and the head of Serial's David Wilson were unhappy with the serial, having wanted to avoid featuring bug-eyed monsters. However, with no other scripts prepared, they were forced to accept the serial for production. The serial was later brought forward to the second in broadcast order due to other sudden commitments. Nation quickly wrote the scripts for the serial at the rate of one per day. Whenever writers or anybody talks about writers doing stuff really fast, I always think, yeah, whatever. On the 16th of September, following Tucker's departure from the show, Christopher Barry was appointed to direct the serial. Lambert's original choice for director was Richard Martin, but Wilson wanted Barry to remain in charge. However, Barry's other work commitments led to a compromise with the production team. Barry would direct the early episodes of the serial, and Martin would trail him to gain more experience. Serial went through a number of working titles during production, including The Survivors and Beyond the Sun, before settling on The Mutants toward the end of production. Also, I want to say that almost all this information is gathered from Wikipedia, and I just wanted to give the start episodes a really base thing for most of the so if people want to start off on, because like this is clearly going to be my view on every episode and just my thoughts as I watch and I write stuff down and I think about it and I look stuff up and all that other type stuff like that. So, and I also want to clarify that at the end of these, I'm going to start putting in Big Finish reviews of some of my favorite stuff and also some other Doctor Who stuff I'm really enjoying right now, from comics to other Big Finish productions, and yeah, just general Doctor Who stuff. Got a lot more energy about redoing this podcast and restarting with new Doctor Who starting. And also check out Brain Leakage on our YouTube channel, TN Universe Presents. On there, I'll have a lot of shorts and stuff, and also reviews of new Doctor Who as it comes out for me. So let's get on to the episode and have some fun talking some Doctor Who. The plot of our story is the TARDIS lands in a petrified jungle where the first Doctor tries to determine their position by taking a reading of the stars. He insists they explore a futuristic city they spot beyond the forest, but Ian and Barbara are not convinced. In the forest, someone touches Susan's shoulder. The Doctor does not believe her. Later, a box of vials is found outside the TARDIS. The Doctor claims the fluid link of the TARDIS is running low on mercury, a ruse he later admits to, forcing the crew to travel to the city in search of more. So, with this story already in its 5th episode, the runaround from them going into the city and out of the city, meeting the dolls, a little bit of conflict with the dolls. The structure of it very much hints that Tree Nation may have actually written this in a really big hurry, because I think it would have been structurally better if it had kind of started in the city and then they went out and then maybe go back in. But you're going, whenever, I was always told in writing, whenever you go out in, and it's clearly a storytelling device, the reader or the listener or viewer tends to lose themselves, not in the story, but lose themselves from concentration for the story. But with this episode, one of my favorite things is the model of the Dalek City. I love that model. It's a very cool model. And I know later they did the dome of the Dalek City and stuff, but I really like this model. It's really cool. And it's referenced several times in this story and in this episode too. Almost every time they cut back to the Daleks, they show it, which is really cool because I always like seeing it. I'm not a fan of these early Dalek voices. I'm a Cyberman fan of the big Doctor Who villains more than a Dalek fan. I sometimes don't, like with Big Finish audios, don't seek out the Dalek episodes as much, and I don't rewatch the classic Doctor Who Dalek ones as much. I'm just not a huge fan. But the iconic Dalek voice was later. This other one is, even for a time, it doesn't work, I don't think. And I think it doesn't work because there's so many different ones. I think when they became more unified, it was also one of the better choices.
What you might call tempting providence, Jessamine.
Well, don't worry about it now, Doctor. It's happened.
Yes, but at least you're not vindictive.
Well, I will be if you don't get my name right.
Hmm?
It's Chesterton.
Yes. Eh? Did I know that?
The playful and strained relationship between the crew is building by this point, obviously, and William Chist and William Hartnell are very good in this moment of the Doctor getting his name wrong, and Chesterton knows he knows his name. That's why he's kind of got this grin on his face, even when he confronts the Doctor about it, and the Doctor says, "Of course I know your name." So it's like this back and forth, and I always seen the Doctor as seeing him as almost a power rival in a way, and the relationship even within the TARDIS crew. Ian triggering the Thals to be more violent is an interesting situation if you want to address violence and violence with rebellion. Me personally, I don't think rebellion really happens and progress really happens for people's rights without some violence, because the only thing the powerful are afraid of is violence. It doesn't mean you should always look for a violent situation, but if you sit back and only pacifism is a tool of the oppressors, it's not a tool of the oppressed. If your people are enslaved or dying, like the Thals basically are, you need to fight. And Ian and William Russell portrays this. He looks like he doesn't want to do what he does. Like when he starts trying to find a way to get them angry, the Doctor clearly knows what he's doing and sees it, and thus tries to keep the others from interfering. But you could see Ian being frustrated with trying to find a way, and then finally he basically threatens the life of one of the Thals to get the others angry and get them going in a way. Another thing I love about the early Doctor Who's and early Dalek stories specifically was the use of cardboard cutouts to show more Daleks than they had the budget for. I love this. Freaking love it. I don't bring it up in any way to criticize it. It's just one of those. It's one of those old school ways of storytelling that always interests me. Is when they can do stuff like that. And it's the creativity and a strong creativity that you find when you don't have every resource right there in front of you to use. The biggest problem with stuff like CGI isn't that it's CGI and not a practical effect. It's the fact that you only have that mindset of that thing. So there's times in modern movies where they could have did it practically, probably cheaper, but they're so in that mindset of only doing stuff with CGI that it doesn't work, because CGI takes time. It's a craft. The people who do CGI effects are craftsmen. The same way somebody builds a set or anything else like that practically. They're craftsmen too, and they need time to do what they need to do. And they're not given that time because also they're fully right. Like that's the only thing that studios rely on for the most part. So I love stuff like seeing the cutouts and then, like I referenced earlier, the city model work.
The way I have reasoned is this. The Daleks are strong and they hate us. And I'm sure they will find a way to come out of their city and kill us. So it's not merely a question of whether we go off in a vain search for food and in all probability starve to death. We face death now. In the city is enough food for all of us and all of the Daleks 100 times over. My conclusion is this. There is no indignity in being afraid to die. But there is a terrible shame in being afraid to live.
Ian's seed of rebellion has taken hold now, and the action forward the story begins at this point, and especially in this episode. But overall, the other stuff was building. It was building the world. It was the TARDIS crew still encountering something they haven't encountered before. This is only their second real story together. So this gets the story really going. And that Thor later, man, he's very handsome, man. Very much Flash Gordon vibes there with him. I love the creature slowly raising from the water there. That was a cool effect, how it almost like was flat and kind of spread up. I mean, kind of bowed up, and then you see it saw the eyes. That was really cool. And a lot of times stuff like effects like with eyes and stuff on something like that may not come over as good in black and white, but I thought it looked really good on that.
It's over a year since we left our own plateau in search of a new source of food. I'd almost forgotten what it was like to stay in one place and enjoy it. I suppose there'll be an end to it one day.
Once the moment gets going, the Thals get to actually have some personality and some character development, and the actors of these really get to act some, because before they really weren't much happening with them, so they weren't impacting the story in a positive way. Now that things are going and they're starting to have more personality and their movement is forward and actions forward, it's really good for them, the actors and the characters overall. And next time we'll be talking about the Daleks Part 6. Hopefully, maybe I'll get another one in May, but definitely one next month. So, let's move over to talking about a Big Finish audio that I really loved recently. So I consume a huge amount of Big Finish audio, and I have for a long time now. And so I won't be reviewing everyone in these type things. But one of them I recently talked about on really quickly, just saying I really liked it, on one of the Brain Leakage videos, 10 Universe Presents on YouTube. All links found on 10universe.blogspot.com. But I discussed Castle of Fear, which I really liked. It's a Fifth Doctor story, and it's really cool. It had some hints of Python-esque stuff in it. It was really crafted very well. The comedy, it really caught me off guard, because one of the things I had to say about some of the Fifth Doctor audios is they're very straightforward sci-fi, and I think this one caught me off guard a little bit. It has humor from the very beginning, but it's not slapstick. It's very well done, very well acted by the cast overall. I like the ways they played with time periods in this, and with storytelling overall being a theme a little bit in it. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I thought everybody did good. The whole cast did well. I highly recommend it. If you're a Fifth Doctor fan, check this out. It's a very good story. So currently with my Doctor Who, always doing something Doctor Who related in a way. I've been doing a lot of figure photography. You can also find my figure photography over at 10universe.blogspot.com. But we also have a TikTok. It's figure photography related. But I've been doing a few Doctor Who ones this month, so go check those out overall. But again, you can go. Almost all our stuff ends up in one way or another, whether it's a podcast or what, on our YouTube channel. So if you check out Matchmaking, that's where my figure photography goes on. But moving on from that, I am currently listening to the Big Finish audio Sisters of the Flame, which is an 8th Doctor story. And I barely started it. I think I started the other day and just got a little bit in, so I'll probably actually re-listen to that. And another comic book I'm reading right now, just starting, is Operation Volcano. It's a 7th Doctor comic story. So a number of Doctor Who stuff listening to. And like I've stated in the beginning, if you would like to take part in Brain Leakage, which I want it to be an archive of as many voices talking about Doctor Who as I can get, just let me know. We can pick out a story. And it's meant to be a casual thing. Not everybody has to do something more formatted like I'm doing here. I'm also doing this to sharpen my editing skills about building a video and creating it and audio. You can just do something simple and talk about stories, and then I can add in details and stuff later. Or do it any way you'd like. Just let me know and we'll talk about it. So if there's a Doctor Who you want to talk about, classic Doctor Who, just let me know. Everybody have a good Doctor Who day.
Now is the time, there's no more waiting. Who will you be when the light dawns?
The voice of Tin Universe is Stacey Taylor. For ebooks, webcomics, short films and more, head over to tinuniverse.blogspot.com.